Hey guys, so I don't know if you can hear, there's a lot of rain in the background. My husband and I were sitting out on the back deck and we were eating, and out of nowhere a storm came. And that reminded me. I wanted to talk to you about some events that are happening in our country. There's a storm happening in our country right now. But it reminded me of a story I told several years ago. And the reason I was also reminded is the other day I was sitting in my office and a friend of mine came in and was talking to me. And as he usually does, we started talking about current events. And he said something very fascinating to me. I don't even know if he knew it, it caught my ear. But he said that these are great times we're living in. And that's not exactly where my mind was going with the times we're living in. I was thinking how hard, terrible, scary the times we're living in are. But he said that, and I actually wanted to have him expand upon it, but we got busy, whatever, and something happened, so we'll have to revisit that conversation because I'm very excited to hear what his viewpoint on that. And I started thinking, though, I might understand what he meant. So we're sitting here and we're eating, and the storm came, and like I said, out of nowhere, this storm came. But what's happening in our country with the race riots, it didn't come out of the blue. It's been brewing for a long, long time. And I don't like the direction our country is taking. I like peaceful living. But it might be something that is necessary. I don't know. I'm not a scholar on race relations, but I do have a story to tell you. My father, I often talk about my father, so bear with me, but he was a very, very important influence in my life. My dad was 6'3", tall, Italian man, good looking, so good looking, in fact, that later in life he became an actor in movies and television. But he was a searcher, a seeker of truth, a seeker of faith, and he dragged me from one different church to another, one different religion to another while I was growing up. And he was from New York City. He was from the streets of New York City. In fact, there's a movie called The Lords of Flatbush that he said watching it is like watching home movies. So he grew up in the streets of New York City. He was a rough kid. He dropped out of high school and became a self-made man. Of course, he credits my mother for being the woman behind him that, you know, and I mean, it's probably true because my mother was spectacular too. But anyway, he pulled himself up out of the streets of New York and became something, made something of himself. But he was always searching, always searching. We wound up, when I was a young kid, we wound up moving all over the United States. We lived across the street from an Indian reservation in Arizona. First, we started off in New York City, and then we lived in the suburbs of New York, and then out to Tucson, Arizona, across the street from an Indian reservation, and then moved to Georgia, a town in Georgia where my dad owned the only restaurant. It was a Huddle House. Actually, there was a Hardee's there too. And I was, me and my brother were the only white children in the school. Everybody else sent their kids to private school. Then we moved from there to like Tarpon Springs, Florida, and then Central Florida, and then anyway, we moved a lot. Because my dad was always searching. But I remember we were in New York, and we went to visit the Jersey Boardwalk, as a lot of New Yorkers do, I guess. And I was about 8 years old. It was like 1973. So those mathematicians out there, yes, I'm 55 years old. Anyway, it was about 1973. And we were walking on the boardwalk, my dad and I. My dad and I were very, very close. We were peas in a pod. And we went into an ice cream shop and we got ourselves some ice cream. And I remember my dad telling the guy that was ringing us up that he wanted to pay for the people behind us ice cream. This is 1973. I don't think we did a lot of that then. But anyway, my dad said, I want to pay for the people behind us. He paid. We got our ice cream. We left. About 3 to 5 minutes later, this couple started saying, "Sir, sir," and started chasing us down the boardwalk. And they came running up to us and they said, we want to thank you. We want to thank you for buying our ice cream. And my dad said, it's nothing, don't worry about it. I love to see couples in love. I like to celebrate love. And so that's why I did it, and thank you. And I mean, they like, yeah, I don't know what an ice cream cone might have cost back then, 50 cents. But they seemed like, almost like they won the lottery. I don't know. But as they walked away, I said to my dad, I said, wow, that was nice, Dad. They seemed very, very happy. You made them very happy. And he said, yeah. He said, you don't understand this now. Because I said, why'd you do it, Dad? I said, that's good, but, why'd you pay for their ice cream? I'm 8, curious 8-year-old. And he goes, well, you might not understand this now because you're young. He said, but not everybody likes everybody else. And I wanted them to know that there's people out there that love them. And I thought, that's cool. And I looked at them as they were walking away from us, and I just happened to notice that one man was black, the man was black, and the woman was white. And I've never forgotten that. And my dad didn't really address race or anything. He just said, you don't understand this, one day you will, but not everybody likes everybody else. And I wanted them specifically to know that they're okay. And I just loved how my dad tackled that issue, because it was a non-issue for him, really, and he just quietly let me know by his example that it was okay. And there was nothing wrong with that. And my dad did have a way of judging people, though. He when I first posted this story, somebody on Facebook commented, and they said, I knew your dad. He met me when I was a kid, and I think she was dating my brother or knew my brother or something. And my dad was a jokester, and he said to her, he said, okay, this is important. I need to know what kind of girl you are. Are you let me get this right. Are you a girl? Remember, he's Italian. He goes, are you a girl who likes a little bit of garlic, no garlic, or never enough garlic? There's never enough garlic. And she said, there's never enough garlic. And he said, we're going to get along fine. So he judged people based on their, not really, but, he had his own way of sorting people out in his mind. If you liked a lot of garlic, you were okay with him. But maybe my friend is right. Maybe we are living in great times. Maybe it's a chance for all of us to tackle these horrible issues that are still around. That was 1973. 1973, and it's still around. These same issues are still around, and that makes me so sad. But maybe my friend is right. Maybe we are living in great times. Great times. Because maybe we can have an opportunity to quietly show people, one ice cream cone at a time, that it's okay to love who you want to love. And race should have no bearing on that whatsoever. Why are we still having these issues? Oh my goodness. Anyway, the storm, I think it's passing here in my yard. Let's pray it's passing for our nation too. God bless.